It's Friday, July 13, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Bring it on. Former Housing Minister Dennis Kelman is challenging the ruling Barbados Labour Party to proceed with its plans to investigate any acts of corruption involving the former Democratic Labour Party administration. On Tuesday, during debate on the Integrity in Public Life Bill, Attorney General Dale Marshall warned that several former government ministers would be investigated for corruption and, if found guilty, prosecuted. While Marshall did not name anyone, he raised concern that several government contracts were not subjected to a tendering process despite the cost exceeding $200,000. But a tough-talking Dennis Kelman dismissed the AG's claims and insisted there was no wrongdoing in the DLP. He said the government was free to embark on what he called a fishing expedition. Kelman maintained his hands were clean and he had nothing to hide, and he also warned the BLP that its own actions could come back to bite it.
Well, you see, politicians have a way of saying and doing things and sometimes might come back to haunt them, huh? So, you know, you might play politics without recognizing what you're doing. And they're free. I mean, that's their role now, to play politics. To just say what they want to do and do what they want to do.
Barbadians should brace for a far-reaching balance of payment support program from the International Monetary Fund. The warning from President of the Barbados Private Sector Association, Charles Herbert, as a team from the Washington-based lending institution wrapped up a 10-day fact-finding mission to the island. The IMF team met with members of the business community yesterday before departing. And though very few answers were forthcoming during the closed-door talks, Herbert told Barbados Today the pending restructuring program would have far-reaching impacts beyond those interests represented by the social partnership.
I think, first of all, the key things were people were asking questions. They wanted to know from the IMF directly, you know, how quickly could a program be agreed? What were the kinds of things that the IMF would require in a program? So I think there were broad questions which some of our members who had not had the opportunity to meet with the IMF face-to-face before wanted to understand. So it was just, there were many issues of explanation. I think the topic that comes up in most forums is just how is the restructuring going and what is the restructuring likely to be. But to be honest, there were no answers.
The government has signaled intentions to review the 10-year ban on the playing of loud music in St. Lawrence Gap after 3 a.m. Word of this from Acting Tourism Minister Colin Jordan, who made the disclosure on the sidelines of the annual general meeting of the Intimate Hotel Groups on Wednesday. Back in 2008, the then Commissioner of Police, Darwin Doughton, enforced Section 37A of the Highway Act, Chapter 289, and ordered that all music be lowered at 2 a.m. before it must cease entirely an hour after. Jordan told reporters a revival of St. Lawrence Gap is needed, but he admitted the issue is a contentious one.
Everything is being relooked. All legislation is being examined and re-examined because we have to make sure in St. Lawrence Gap, for example, that the entertainment entities can coexist happily with the accommodation entities. We recognize that St. Lawrence is unique in that it has both entertainment and accommodation. One cannot drive with the other, and we will have to be sensitive in how we go forward. But this government's approach to governance is that we engage all stakeholders. We talk to people, we listen to people, and then we make decisions.
In other news, against the backdrop of a worrying rise in non-communicable diseases, a United Nations official is urging Barbados and the rest of the region to implement a new strategy to tackle the problem. Speaking at an international conference on NCDs at UN House yesterday, the UNICEF representative suggested that governments should tackle NCDs on 3 broad levels: policy and legislation, standards and regulation, and public campaigns.
We need national policies and legislation to regulate the advertising of junk food to children, including on social media. Thank you. We need national policies that would regulate the sale of unhealthy food to children, especially in school-based settings. I see students in the room. National policies are also needed on physical education and sport for all students, including advocacy against the practice that children are not allowed to participate in physical education because of upcoming exams or because they have misbehaved.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Business owners in the Bahamas engaged in unscrupulous practices have been put on notice. Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Peter Turnquest said those who smuggle goods into the country without paying the necessary taxes could face the law courts if they don't stop. He issued the warning as he addressed the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation Power Breakfast yesterday.
If you're involved in the unstamping or the non-stamping of cigarettes and tobacco and other goods, if you are smuggling goods through our islands and not paying your duty, today would be a good day to discontinue that practice. Because tomorrow, you may face the court. And unlike some, and this is an unpopular statement, but I will insist that even my friends face that charge.
The finance minister said the illegal practice is having a negative impact on the public purse.
It's difficult to quantify, but we do know that there is activity that's occurring, and we want to encourage importers to play by the rules, because at the end of the day, if everybody plays by the rule, it'll make the system fairer and allow us to contain our tax structure such that we do not put more burden on those who are in fact playing by the rules.
And finally, the International Monetary Fund reaffirms its support for Haiti days after violent demonstrations over a hike in fuel prices claimed several lives. IMF spokesman Jerry Rice says the Washington institution will work closely with authorities as they revise a reform strategy and implement measures to protect the most vulnerable in the country.
We continue to stand by Haiti and to cooperate closely with the authorities as they develop a revised reform strategy. And discussions are ongoing with the authorities, but we would expect that the revised reform program would include at least two important elements that I'd like to highlight. One would be a more gradual approach to reducing the fuel subsidies, and secondly, would be ensuring the implementation of compensatory and mitigating measures to protect the most vulnerable people. A third important point is that we hope that by implementing this revised reform strategy, this can help unlock additional support, continued engagement of the international community and other development partners, including the IMF. So this is a major objective, as far as we're concerned, to try and mobilize additional support to help Haiti through this difficult period that it's facing.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.pb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Do have a wonderful Friday.